Hello, this is Jackie B. Peterson. I'm the author of Better, Smarter, Richer, 7 Business Principles for Solo, Encore, and Creative Entrepreneurs. Welcome to our Solo Pro Radio this week. I'm delighted that you've tuned in and are listening to us. And before we get into our interview today, I'd just like to remind you of a couple upcoming events. We have our next live Better, Smarter, Richer study group happening on November 18th. That will be 4 two-hour sessions where we will work the workbook, Better, Smarter, Richer. The students fill in the blanks and come to the study group, and we talk about what I like to call our challenges, our ahas, our insights, and our yeah buts. And it's the yeah buts that hold us back. And then on December 3rd, we are running a free symposium, can't beat the price of that, at Portland Community College on solopreneurship and Better, Smarter, Richer. That will be to 6 to 9 p.m. You can go on to my website, bettersmarterricher.com, and find the link to register to that. Or you can go on BizCenter, www.bizcenter.org, to events, Portland events, and also claim a seat for that symposium. So again, no cost, but we love to have you register so we know how many of you are going. And I'm happy to announce that I have my first ever facilitator, Better, Smarter, Richer certified facilitator, Bonnie Kahn, who has joined the Better, Smarter, Richer team. Bonnie is an artist. She's also been a gallery owner. She has a huge specialty with working with creatives. So all of you creatives out there, we've got a whole new resource for you. And just be looking for notice of that on the website, or contact us and say, oh, I'm an artist, I'm dying to talk. So in the meantime, let's get on with today's show. Rachel Mohlere has she's just had a varied career. She was a massage therapist, a greeting card creator. Then she joined the real estate field in 2004. She became a seniors real estate specialist in 2006 and has continued to build a focus on working with seniors and real estate. Most recently, she started the Senior Specific Consulting Group and has been very active in the Villages movement as well. Without a doubt, Rachel has been a force in the senior market, and I look forward to learning more about this critical issue today as we talk together. Hello, Rachel.
Hello. Nice to be here.
I'm glad you're here. This is wonderful. So thanks for taking time. So, Rachel, you've just had a really rich and varied background. So talk to us about some of the steps on your journey that led to your focus on senior housing.
Well, I suppose it all starts with being a sheep farmer and being really good at herding sheep a long time ago, but I didn't tell you that part. I think that's the best part. No, I think it's a little bit of a mystery to me. I think it actually does go back a long ways. My parents were 46 years old when I was born, and so growing up with people for whom their later years was a visceral reality kind of my whole life, I think impacted me more than I realized. So I think that's part of it, and I think the fact that my parents were very much social activists and really concerned about working on behalf of people who may be underserved or not treated well or may be taken advantage of in society. These values were a part of my everyday living. So, of course, I did the typical teenage thing and just rebelled like crazy and came out to Oregon with no interest in doing anything political ever, and discovered that I was a really great massage therapist. I was gifted at it and was able to have a successful practice working with people, and I found myself drawn to people who were dealing with transition. I was always interested in transition. I worked with people dealing with death and loss, people dealing with divorce, people dealing with chronic pain, people recovering from difficult situations. And so that's a piece of it, is that whole background. I always liked to be an educator. I liked to guide people. I liked to provide resources and connect people with resources in the community far beyond myself. I never tried to be an end-all, be-all for people. So those were parts of it. And I developed some health problems. I could not continue to do the work I really loved. I kind of cast around for quite a while. The greeting cards you mentioned that I created were actually bereavement cards. They were cards to help people communicate meaningfully at difficult times. And coming into real estate was a huge surprise. I had zero interest in that kind of work. You know,
isn't that the way? We have zero interest, and here it comes and takes over our lives.
I know, isn't that something?
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, real estate's a funny business because it's if you aren't in it, you really don't know it. And what I really discovered about it is that working in real estate, at least the way I do, is about home. It's not about houses. It's about people, and it's about home. So
I like the way you say that.
Yeah, thank you. You know, as soon as I stuck my toe in the water, I realized it was an opportunity to educate and negotiate on people's behalf and be calming and be emotionally supportive and help people find what they really wanted and needed and find resources for people out in the community. And voila, here I am.
Well, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. And so you were into real estate, and then you moved more into senior real estate, right? Senior housing?
Yes, and it's actually, you know, I kind of chuckle about it because it's kind of a misnomer. I actually work in the senior unhousing.
Oh, okay.
Yes, you're right. That is what I did. I got into real estate, and I discovered there was a specialization that I could get trained in through a national certification process to work with older adults, and I did jump on it and jump into it feet first. And, you know, it evolved because as the housing market changed, the issues for older adult homeowners really changed tremendously, and I started seeing how that linked into other industries, and that's what's led me to the work I predominantly do today. Okay,
so why don't you talk to us about the work that you do today predominantly? What's that like? What do you do?
That's that unhousing part. So,
okay,
what happened? The thing for me, and I think this kind of loops into massage therapy, is that I always worked in the natural care offices. I always worked holistically. So when I started working with older adults, I not only saw all the pieces of what transitioning out of being a homeowner into something else, senior living or something else, all these pieces to it, and they all really needed to be treated as part of one thing, part of this person's transition in their lives. And then when the housing market went sideways and people were paralyzed and kind of frozen, I had also by that time networked a great deal with other people who work with older adults. And I saw the impact of the frozen housing market on these other people's businesses. And so again, thinking holistically, I came up with a program for the benefit of everybody, the homeowner and a number of different professionals, to create a system for helping people make this transition. So, you know, what that looks like is we used the term senior housing earlier, and I kind of laughed about being in the senior unhousing side. So senior housing industry depends tremendously on older homeowners being able, but also being willing to sell their homes and move in. So I saw that bridge that was needed, and it wasn't really there. So a lot of what my work is working with, at this time, one particular senior living community, helping their prospects get out of their houses and out of their stuff and out of being overwhelmed and out from under that morass of logistics and into senior housing.
Very good. Very good. All of us think about, you know, what should I do? Where should I go? You know, what will work for me? You know, we'll talk about that some more, I hope, today as we're, you know, discussing the senior housing topic. It's a huge topic. So maybe you can help us with some definitions here. So there's been a lot of talk about aging in place. And what exactly does that mean? It's
an interesting thing. I think I kind of chuckle about it. I think it's a little bit of a misnomer. There's a lot of talk about aging in place these days as sort of a movement, as kind of a new thing. So I want to wrap a little of what I think of as reality around that. First of all, people have been aging in place since we became people. For a zillion years, we've been aging in place. And even now, a very small percentage of people in our nation, historically and at this time, ever willingly age somewhere other than their home or their kid's home or a second home. So people are aging in place anyway. A couple of years back, I remember the average age of people moving into independent living nationwide was 88.
Oh, boy.
You've already aged in place.
Yeah.
By the time you're 88, And some of those communities these people move to have a turnover rate of 40% a year.
Oh, my goodness, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
People come in and they're 88, and the trauma of the move pretty much takes them out of their game. It's not a good mix. So it's kind of a misnomer. So now I think what's really happening is that, first of all, as many different businesses and industries, probably not as many as there should be, but still, industries start to really look at, look, all these people are getting older all at once in mass, and gee, that looks like a market to me, and how are we going to capitalize on this? Which is fine. There's nothing wrong with people doing that. In fact, in some ways, we need more of it. But as they're doing that, what's being recognized is that because so few people want to move into senior living communities of various kinds, and I would like to circle back on the reasons for that, but so few people want to, then gee, how do we help people stay home? So there are industries ramping up around this, and some of that's excellent, and some of that is, of course, a little predatory, but be that as it may, what I think is changing is not that any more people want to age in place. What I think is changing is that people are starting to look at it straight and think about it and plan about it for themselves and understand that they have options in how they handle it and demand some of those options. And it's just starting, because I think we still have an enormous amount of people who are in denial about their aging and about the relationship between an aging body and a house. We don't have much consciousness about that. Yeah.
I would believe that. I would believe that is true.
Yep.
We just don't like
we don't want to be. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And we don't get it. I was recently at a great presentation on Age Friendly Portland, and we'll probably talk about that a little bit later. I've been very involved in that movement, and there was this term that came out which is called Peter Pan housing, which is the idea that our housing was built to never get old in. We're never going to get old, Isn't that great?
Yeah, I know. I've had several clients who have done like legacy letter writing or bereavement work or, something like that for, saving your wisdom after you're gone. And one of them says, the biggest secret in America is that we're going to die.
Yeah. How about that? Surprise!
People to talk about it. Yeah. So
I'm very aware of that relationship.
Oh gosh, I'll bet you are. So another alternative is known as the Villages movement, right? And I think you've been involved in that. So why don't you talk a little bit to our listeners about how the Villages work and what they are?
Sure, happy to. So the Villages work, it's kind of funny. So I'm making my living blessedly helping people get unhoused, and the village movement is really about people not having to get unhoused. So I have a foot in both worlds, and I like it that way because I think that I think that as we get more really good housing options that actually are built and designed around what it is that has people thrive as older adults, which is not, by the way, the come be on vacation the rest of your life model that a lot of senior living communities are based on and built around. It's not that. It's about meaningful connection. It's about empowerment. So the villages are about those things. The village movement is really about, and I really love this, it's about